back into the video today. Today, the Washington Commanders have beat the Atlanta Falcons 30-24 in overtime, and the Washington Commanders clinch playoff berth. The Atlanta Falcons lose control of the NFC South, and with that, the Buccaneers control their destiny to win the NFC South, with the Buccaneers facing the Saints next week, the Falcons facing the Panthers. I think the Falcons, I would say the Falcons probably have an easier win, but at the same time, I think both of the Falcons and the Bucs have easy Week 18 wins, which doesn't do the Falcons any favors because that would leave the Bucs at 10-7 and the Falcons at 9-8, which leaves them out of winning the division and most likely leaves them out of the playoffs. I think there is still a way for the Falcons to get into the wild card, but it's not a good chance. Playoff chances for Atlanta after this loss is at 15%. That is not good either. But the Commanders clinch playoff berth with rookie Jayden Daniels. The Commanders also improved to 11-5. Jayden Daniels played a great game tonight, mainly a great second half. Had a terrible interception in the first half, but at the same time, he had a touchdown drive in the first half, but that was really it. But in the second half, he was just terrific on the passing side, the running side of it. No turnovers, absolutely fantastic. And let's also shout out the other rookie, Michael Penix Jr., who I think is in a way harder position. It's only his second start. Jayden Daniels has been starting the entire year. He has to go into a road game, and I thought he played fantastic. I think the game was probably there was probably not a great chance to win this game in the time period where the Falcons are like the 5-4 yard line and there's a negative 22-yard rush because of a fumble that they went wildcat. Bijan was in wildcat and the center overthrew it. Ball went back, I think it was like 22 or 23, 24 yards, and there was second and goal at the 30, 31, something like that, maybe 29, and still somehow Michael Penix is still able, in two throws, or no, it was three throws because it was a fourth down touchdown catch for Kyle Pitts. Still somehow a rookie in that position, a rookie only in a second start, is able to do that. We've seen Jayden Daniels do this plenty of time, but this is a guy who's been starting all year. I'm not trying to discredit Jayden Daniels at all. I just think that was really impressive with Michael Penix on that last touchdown drive where they scored with a minute 19 left, that he was able to lead them to that touchdown drive when really his odds weren't really good on second and goal at the 30-29 yard line. So, yeah, that was incredible by Michael Penix Jr., but unfortunately, he wasn't able to get the ball in overtime. Look, I'm not going to try to complain about this rule because I actually wanted the Commanders to win this game. So, I'm not upset that the Falcons didn't really get the ball back because I wanted the Commanders to win. I want the Bucs to win the division. I want the Commanders in the playoffs. But I still, at the same time, hate the rule of overtime, how the other team that doesn't get back a chance. I think, we've seen it change for the playoffs. After that Bills-Chiefs divisional round game, we saw that rule changed, where even if the first team that gets the ball first scores a touchdown, the other team still has a chance. We saw that change the playoffs. Why not make that a regular season rule as well? For starters, I hate the rule of a tie. That's one of my biggest icks of the game of football is ties. I just absolute biggest hate of mine with the game of football is ties. So I'd love to see the NFL remove ties and make it where the other team still has a chance. And not only that, maybe you raise the overtime clock to maybe 12 or 15 minutes because you could be looking at three possessions in overtime instead of maybe two, or if not, it could be, I'm just saying, maybe you raise it around 2 or 5 minutes to 12 or 15 minutes in overtime. But look, I'm not unhappy with the way this game ended because I wanted Washington to win, like I said. But I just think that it's a rule that needs to be changed. And there's so many games where the second team doesn't get a chance. We've seen it so many times. I think it's now happened twice with the Bucs this year, against these Falcons, and against the Chiefs. It's happened so many times throughout the history of the game, and we've seen to the point where it's changed the playoffs. That I think it needs to change in the regular season. Not only that, I think it'd make football more entertaining, for sure. I don't see a way where football is more entertaining if you have the other team getting a shot. I think the game would be more interesting. There's more on the line. Like, you imagine Atlanta has to drive down the field, down 7, and they got to score a touchdown to keep the game alive. And in this case, I think it would be even more interesting because they only have 2 minutes to score. So I think it'd be better for the game of football because mainly it'd make it more entertaining, but also it gives the other team a better chance, which both teams need to have a shot in overtime, if you ask me. But and if you're going to change it for the postseason, I think you need to change it for the regular season. Let's go over some stats from this game. Scoring summary: Jayden Daniels threw a 7-yard touchdown pass to Zaccheaus, a former Falcon, 7-yard touchdown pass at 7-0. And then we saw Bijan Robinson 1-yard touchdown run at 7-7. Another Bijan 1-yard touchdown run at 14-7. Riley Patterson made a 39-yard field goal to make it 17-7. Then Jayden Daniels with a 10-yard touchdown to Zach Ertz. He was fantastic in this game. Made 17-14. And then Chris Rodriguez Jr. with a 2-yard touchdown run at 21-17. And then Zane Gonzalez knocks in a 31-yard field goal to make it 24-17. Michael Penix, I've talked about this amazing touchdown catch on 4th and goal at the 13. Kyle Pitts, 13-yard touchdown. And Zach Ertz for the win. Jayden Daniels, 2-yard touchdown pass to Zach Ertz, the former Philadelphia Eagle. And I think one of the most underrated tight ends you can find in football. All right, game leaders: Michael Penix, 19 for 35, 223 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. You would have told me he had he'd thrown an interception this game. Yeah, that's not surprising. Jayden Daniels, I mean, it's not like he's immune to throwing an interception, but the interception he did throw, I think, was a little bit surprising. It's unlike him. It was a terrible throw, but what he does after that is he comes back and he makes great plays like he did in this game. 24 for 36, 227 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and interception. Rushing yards: Bijan Robinson, 17 carries, 90 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. And, of course, it's Jayden Daniels with 16 carries, 127 rushing yards. He breaks records, most rushing yards ever for a quarterback in a rookie season. He breaks his, a rookie who was playing for his team years and years ago, Robert Griffin. Well, not years and years ago. Okay, that I'm going to go back and correct that. It wasn't years and years ago, but it was years ago. It was about a little bit over a decade ago. Robert Griffin's rookie record. Drake London, 7 receptions for 106 receiving yards. Not surprising, Drake London had success against Commanders' defense. Commanders' defense does have a lot of struggles against wide receiver ones. And then Zaccheaus with 8 receptions and 85 receiving yards and a touchdown against his former team. Love to see it. Some revenge. Taylor Algier with 3 carries for 19 rushing yards. Brian Robinson Jr., 13 carries for 60 rushing yards. He was great in this game. It's just not looking at that as much because Jayden Daniels was so good on the rushing end, and he didn't get a touchdown because backup Chris Rodriguez had a 16-yard rushing a rushing touchdown. But Brian Robinson was great in this game. Zach Ertz had 6 receptions for 72 receiving yards with 2 touchdowns. Jamison Crowder had 25 receiving yards, and Terry McLaurin was terrible in this game. 1 reception for 5 receiving yards, targeted 7 times. I think the dangerous part that you look at this Commanders team is Terry McLaurin can play as bad as he played today. Only 5 receiving yards, targeted 7 times, only 1 catch, and still Washington gets a win against, I think, a solid Atlanta team because of the talent of Zaccheaus, Zach Ertz, Jamison Crowder, the running end with Jayden himself, Brian Robinson, Chris Rodriguez Jr. I think it shows how dangerous this Washington can this Washington team can be, even when their best, the best target that Jayden Daniels has is absolutely terrible. So imagine when he's playing his best in the potential playoff matchup for them in the first round. So I think it makes this Washington team even dangerous. So let me know your thoughts on the win for Washington. Also, here's another crazy thing. How many times do you see 2 games in the same week that head to overtime? Okay, that's not really crazy, and that's not what I was trying to say. But 2 games head into overtime in the same week with the same score. You had the Broncos and the Bengals. Score was 24-24 was the final, or that was the final score of regulation going into overtime. Same thing with this game. That's a little bit nuts. And it was both the final score. Because Cincinnati scored a touchdown, they won 30-24. So how about that? 2 games in the same week that both go to overtime, and going in overtime, same score. And both of them had the same score to end the game as well, 30-24. So let me know your thoughts on the Commanders' 30-24 win in the comment section, and peace out.